Hey everyone, welcome to The Girls. We invite you to sit back and have some fun, but also be educated. Today on our show, we will talk about internet safety. We have a special guest coming on later from the Attorney General's office. And we have kids, and obviously you have kids too, and grandkids.
Yeah, I know. Having grandkids is scary in this day and age. God, when Sammy and Janine were growing up, all I had to worry about was what were they writing in their journals and who were they talking on the phone with. Maybe where were they sneaking off to in the cars, you know, who was driving the cars. But now it's like there are predators everywhere. There's so many things to be afraid of on the internet.
There's almost too much today.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much to worry about and so many facets of it. So Michelle will inform us on really how to keep our kids safe and what we should be doing as parents and grandchildren, because I learned something a long time ago from her program that was like, wow.
I can't wait, because I can't even keep my own password straight on my own items. But then you have to look at what your child is doing on their phones and their iPads and computers and all of this technology, that it is overwhelming. And what if we have grandparents or guardians who are not too familiar with technology?
Right.
You have to throw that in the mix, that you have to actually, you know, teach them how to use technology first.
Well, I'm an up-to-date grandma, because I go on and I look at Instagram, I look at Twitter, I look to see what the kids are doing, what they're posting. They may not know that I'm there because I don't post, but I'm there.
Wait till they see your
watching.
TikTok.
I know.
Kidding.
Yeah, TikTok.
Well, it is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and you know, we have the pink. We always wear pink or show off our pink, so I usually have a touch of pink. So we're ready to bring awareness to getting your mammograms, which we should be scheduling ours too.
I just had one.
There you
Good.
go.
Good to go.
Check on the tatas, right?
Yep, some small changes, but it's good to see them because then you can keep an eye on them. And Smith Floral has graced our set with these beautiful pink flowers, so they're well aware of it as well.
So make sure that you schedule your mammograms, and again, put health first, especially this year that you're getting checked. It's not the most pleasant thing to get done, I know. I usually put mine off too, but right?
Absolutely.
I always say a rosary when that clamp starts coming down. I just go, oh, Hail Mary. How you doing? Don't
You
ask.
would think there's a better way now with technology that we can do something different for women instead of trying to like squish them like pancakes.
But it's the best. It's the 3D, because if you have the ultrasound done, it's not really as conclusive and as good and in depth as it is. They do the spot check ultrasound if they do see something on the 3D ultrasound, mammogram, but I mean, it's worth it. We do other things to torture ourselves that aren't as good, so.
Definitely invented by a male.
Yeah, but you know, like women torture themselves with those stiletto heels, so for a couple seconds to put your mind at ease that you don't have breast cancer.
Yeah.
You do it
really
for
is
your
important.
kids too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have an aunt who's a breast cancer survivor, so it's it is very important to go and get checked, because had she not had that mammogram, we never would have known. Right. So it's an important thing to do.
Yeah, I know so many people that had it done on just a regular routine checkup, and they found things early and were able to be treated. So
I think I talked about it on the show several years ago when I had that scare. I had a lump. I had the lump removed, thankfully, but it was like right before Thanksgiving. It was this time of year, ironically, and I had my mammogram done because of October, and it was benign, but it was still scary. I didn't get my results, I think, the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right before Thanksgiving.
And you count
really
your
painful.
blessings, let me tell you. Regardless of, you still go to bed at night thinking, what if?
Sure.
Well, one of the reasons I think Breast Cancer Awareness Month is in October is because of the fact that with each season, our bodies change, the hormones change, and so that's a good time to get it, because we do have changes in our body. All right, well, stay with us, because when we come back, we have a lot of information for you on watching your kids with internet, and we have our special guest, Attorney General Michelle Nutter. Stay with us.
Welcome back to The Girls. We're here today with Michelle Nutter. She is from the Pennsylvania Attorney General's Office. She is the Education and Outreach Program Manager. Michelle, thanks so much for being here with us today. We're going to talk a lot about internet safety. I know there's a new term for it, digital citizenship.
You got
right?
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a personal experience with one of your colleagues a few years ago when I was the PTO president for my daughter's school. And the guidance counselor told me all about this great program she heard about. And it wasn't until Janine came into the school, the things I walked away learning, I went home because I do have Facebook and I took every single picture of my daughter down. She was very young at the time, and I left there. I was in tears, and Michelle and I were talking after just because of the stories and the things that had happened. And as a parent, so many things I thought, oh my gosh, did I expose my child? So before we get into all of that though, tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been doing this incredible work.
So I started my career as a teacher. I'm a certified English teacher. I was in the classroom for about 5 years. I first came to the Attorney General's office back in 1995, and I was there for 10 years. My main position then was a civil rights investigator. There for 10 years, then I went to the Center for Safe Schools for 13, where I oversaw all their school safety and youth violence prevention initiatives, including internet safety and bullying and things like that. And I've been back at the AG's office now for going on 3 years. So altogether, well, about 30 years in education and the Attorney General's office.
So you have a little experience in it.
So when we talk about safety, I know you sent us some statistics here, which I found rather alarming, where about 1 in 5 teens have posted or sent sexually suggestive or nude pictures of themselves to others. Nearly 43% of kids have been bullied online. 1 in 4 has had it happen more than once. So again, I'll just read some statistics from the Attorney General's office. When we talk about kids' safety online, give parents some key things to look for or to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we look at internet safety or digital citizenship, we really do divide it into keeping safe and keeping smart. So let's talk about safe. How can parents keep their kids safe? Well, one thing is to be aware of the type of activities your kiddos are engaging on when they're online. One thing to ask yourself is, how old is your child? Most social media apps have a minimum age of 13. And so even though that's there, it is easy for people to get around. You just
Put a different date in.
Put a different date in,
Sure.
right. And so it's always interesting to me when I'm in schools, elementary schools, and I'll ask kids, how many of you are on TikTok? How many of you are on Snapchat? And hands going up with, kindergarten, first and second graders. And you're like, okay, there's no way you're 13, so you shouldn't be on those sites. But a lot of times the kids ask, parents haven't done research, and they allow their child to download them. So I'd say that's one of the main things to do. Do your research. Look at what is the minimum age? What is the type of content that my child will be exposed to on this app, and then have conversation to make decisions about, is this something that you should be on or not?
Well, some of the children they're so ingenious with these apps that they can develop and do this themselves. So what are some of the things parents can do to prevent their child from actually going and opening an account? Is there like a lock or some kind of parental guidance thing on there?
Sure, there's different parental guidance features within your mobile phone, and like if you're on a family plan, you can set your child's phone up so that they can't, for example, download any app without the parent giving permission for that to happen. There's also other programs out there that you can kind of have control of what's on your child's phone. I mean, there's literally apps out there that basically will allow a parent to receive copies of the same text messages that their children get, and will be able to manage who's able to call them and things like that. And so it really comes down to, each parent, each family having that discussion about what works for us, what makes sense.
My daughter, for a long time, she was angry with me because I would not allow her a lot of the social media that her friends were on. And then eventually I did some research, and I had many conversations with your colleague Janine and talked with her about different things. And even, as a parent, she does show me a lot of the stuff that she's doing, and I, Instagram, I follow her, so I see what's going on. Everything that she's on, I'm on, so I can keep an eye on it. But, as a parent, Facebook as an example, I was new to it myself, so I would post pictures, and, I still do, but I now have it set to private after learning some things. It's not only, I think, what our kids are doing, but as parents and grandparents, what are they doing and how are they exposing our children as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really important that whatever platforms we're on or apps that we're on, that we think about those privacy settings. And honestly, I don't think, unless you're, some high power celebrity, having things being public for anybody in the world to see really doesn't make a lot of sense. And so making sure that we have, private or friends only or things like that, so that we're not putting out information beyond our trusted circle of friends. And also within those apps, checking on what settings you have on the geolocation services, because there's lots of apps that track you, and if you don't have it shut down, will share your location. Like, for example, Snapchat is one of them, that if you're not turning that off, other users can literally see where you are in the world, which I find incredibly scary as a parent and as an educator. We don't want anybody to know where our kids are other than the parents themselves, right?
A lot of the things that you mentioned just now, a lot of people watching, as myself, it sounds kind of complicated how to manage all of these different privacies and whatever. So what I did when I got my new phone was I actually had the people where I got my phone help me with these settings, and I told them what I wanted and what I didn't want. And they were able to then set those up for me. And then I did have my kids check over those settings for me. And I also went on another server to look back and see what I can do from someone else's server, what I could see on my account, whatever I didn't like, then I had that changed. So that's a good idea for parents too, because it is very confusing and complicated, and unless you're in it every day, you really don't know that.
It's true, very good tips. And there's organizations out there that all they do is provide good information to parents to help them manage the digital world that we find ourselves in. So NetSmarts, NETSMARTZ.org, and commonsensemedia.org. Both of them are great resources. They have parents' guides to pretty much any application you can think of that really goes through the pros and cons and all the different settings. So there's good information out there.
When you look at ages 13 and below, it's kind of a no-brainer. Don't be on it because you're not really supposed to. When you get into the preteens and then you get into the teenager / almost adult, is that almost a conversation that you should have with your child? And I'm saying this from personal experience. My daughter's 17. If she's on Snapchat, how do you know what? You don't know the information that the children are putting out in private text messaging. We've had conversations about do's and don'ts and respect and safety. But what do you do in that age bracket where it's so close to 17, 18? What is your advice for those parents?
I think it comes down to having that conversation and having open communication and being able to, relay what your expectations are and have the ability for your child to, have that back and forth with you, to talk about those expectations and to talk about what are the lines that we have to stay within. And I think when we approach it as a conversation, we get a lot further than if we're the don't, right? But have that conversation and explain why we're concerned, right? We're concerned because we don't want predators to be able to see your information. We're concerned because we don't want you to put something out there that's going to get you in trouble or cause you pain or in the future.
All right. Well, we have so much information to talk about with you, and I'm glad that we have another segment with you. So stay where you are, folks. We have a lot more to talk about. We'll be right back.
back. We're going to continue our conversation here with Michelle Nutter from the Attorney General's office. We're talking about being safe and smart online with our kids. Michelle, some of the warning signs that something might be going on that maybe we're not aware of. If a child is spending a lot of time online, or if they're on their laptop and you walk in the room, they suddenly close that computer. Are these things that we should be alarmed about, or are they just things that kids might be just doing?
Well, it could be innocent, but it also could not be innocent. So I think, just being aware of what your child is doing and how they're behaving. If you see sudden changes in their behavior, if they, used to be really outgoing and then suddenly start becoming very withdrawn, or they're spending more and more time on their device and not wanting to interact with family. Those are things that can be red flags, and so it's definitely something to follow up on with the conversation, just to say, what's going on? Are you upset about anything or worried about anything? I think, the older the student or your child is, the more direct we can be in conversations. But even with our young kids, kindergartners or first graders, having that conversation to say that if anyone says something to you online that hurts your feelings or upsets you or makes you scared, come tell me, come have a conversation with me, so that they know that anytime it just doesn't feel right, that you're the first person that they should talk to about it.
It sounds so simple that if something does happen that your child would come to you. And when I'm looking again at some of these statistics, only 1 in 10 victims will inform a parent or trusted adult if they are being abused physically or online. That to me is 1 in 10. So you tell your kids and you try not to scare them. Sometimes you say it so much that they feel like you're scaring them, but you want them to be safe and you want them to be able to come to you if something. I think they think of what will happen if I do tell. Then mom or dad are going to react, and say something. That's your kid tells you something. Don't say anything. Don't do anything. Don't post anything. Don't take action. That's alarming.
A lot of times they don't want to tell because they're afraid you're going to take their device away. Right. That's a big concern. Like if I'm being bullied on my Xbox, then you're going to take my Xbox away from me, or from my phone, or whatever it is. And we also do know that the older kids get, so once they get into those middle and late teen years, the less likely they are to report. And part of that might be because they don't want us to think that they can't handle things or that they're weak, and so they don't want to admit that they have a problem that's too big for them. So I just keep coming back to having those ongoing conversations. I'm here to help you. I'm here to protect you. As your mom, as your dad, that's my number one job, to keep you safe and to keep you happy and healthy. And so anything that's upsetting you, I need to know about.
About the time of day that they're using their device, as we go into the later hours of the night, are there more predators out there that are looking for kids that are, maybe up and using that device that maybe their parents wouldn't be around in the wee hours of the morning?
Well, I would say that they're out there, pretty much all the time, but there is a whole lot of activity in those late night or overnight hours. And so we always recommend that, to whatever extent possible, parents tell their kids, don't take the phone into the bathroom with you, and you can't take it into your bedroom with you either, because that's where we see problems with those inappropriate pictures. That's where we see conversations that kind of go off the rails because there's no one around really monitoring what's going on.
I find it's more difficult to take devices away from children, especially this year, with children learning from their phones, doing homework from their phones, getting assignments from their phones. Some children are only accessing their information from their phones. So it's very difficult for a parent, I could imagine, because I know friends who their children need their phones to do that work.
Sure.
Don't bring your phone into your bedroom. Well, how am I going to get my work done unless the parent's with them while they're doing it? Or maybe a parent is working night shift and they have, it's hard to control it at times, being the devil's advocate, because it's easy to say this information, but how do these parents enforce it?
Yeah, I think, it depends on each family. And, there's lots of families out there that they just have a family agreement that no one, including the parents, are going to access their phones after, 9 p.m. or whatever the time is. And then they're all put on a charging station in the kitchen or whatever. And so nobody is having their devices. For some families, that works. I think it's a little hard to say, well, Mom, I'm doing my assignments at 2 a.m., so I have to have my phone. Hopefully our kiddos are sleeping at 2 a.m., not working on schoolwork or doing anything else.
Well, some of them procrastinate and they're up till 10 or 11 if they're home from school at 8 or 9 from sports, and they're getting in at 9, they're doing their homework. But I understand what you're saying. Even if it's 11 o'clock, it goes on the station or the charging station.
Well, right now we're speaking, and we may think that we're speaking to parents, but a lot of kids watch our show too, and they watch us online. What are some tips that you could give the kids as to, if you're online, what would they to be suspect of? How would they know if it's someone? What's the warning sign there for them using it?
Well, I think, I'll be honest with you, for a lot of our teens and tweens, they get themselves into more trouble than outsiders trying to make trouble for them. And what I mean by that is they post things that, say just mean or hurtful things about someone else that they would never say face to face, but they put it out there on social media or on a platform. And so we just always say, golden rule time, right? Treat other people the way that you want to be treated. So if you wouldn't want someone to say that about you, don't say that about someone else. Making sure that what you put out there is positive, because that really impacts how others see us. Not sending those inappropriate pictures. Just, stay away from all that. Colleges, universities, the military, anything that our kiddos are thinking about for their future, they're going to do background checks that include social media. And so they're looking to see what kind of person is this person who's applying for a job or applying for a spot in our university. And if they don't like what they see, they're going to get a pass. And that's true for us as adults as well. Lots of places that you go to apply for a job, that's one of the first things they do. They take a look at you.
Yeah, you mentioned inappropriate pictures. Some of the kids don't think it's bad if they take a picture of themselves in their room in their pajamas, or even in their like workout clothes. But they don't realize how it comes across, that pose, and they see their friends do it. So everybody's like striking a pose, but they don't realize the effect it has on someone else seeing that picture.
Yes, yeah, I think it opens the door.
There are programs that you have that actually people can have inside their school. I know that Lori took advantage of that, and as she mentioned earlier, what is the program? Can people get information about having the Attorney General's office come in to talk about safety online?
Sure. So if you go to our website, www.attorneygeneral.gov, you can click on the tab for Protect Yourself, and there's lots of different information. We have programs for parents, so Social Media 101 for parents, what parents need to know, and I think that's probably the one that you saw. And then we have presentations for kindergarten through 12th graders. Content obviously is different for the different age groups, but talking about bullying and cyberbullying, and then just that idea of digital citizenship, being safe and smart when we're online.
Yeah, we have a lot of parents who work different shifts. So a lot of kids are home unattended in the evening, or maybe they come home after school and they're left alone during those hours. And I know sometimes the kids get, they'll go right to their phone, and that's their social media platform. That's their company until I guess the parents would come home too. So it is quite scary. So everything that you told us today is very helpful. I know there's so much more, and I'm glad that you gave the website and that there is more help out there, that if you'd like to have someone come and speak with your kids at school, or you're a teacher or a parent, anything, just get in touch with them and make sure to keep yourself safe. Here at The Girls, we're always thanking you for joining us. We'd like to thank our guests for coming on and inspiring us and educating us. And till we see you again, stay safe.